Why was it that you decided that these awards and the foundation that followed thereafter was important? Like, what problem were you trying to solve?
I really want to create something that would be able to make women more visible, to allow women to step into their power and recognize the power they have within themselves to be able to do all of these things that they do.
Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the Transform Your Confidence podcast with Raj Girn. You know, that's me. I'm your host. This is a new season. It's our second episode. And you guys know that we're looking at going a lot deeper than we ever have before. We always bring on incredible women to talk about their expertise, some of the accomplishments that they've had, learning from the things that may have not worked for them. And today's conversation topic feels especially meaningful because we're not just going to be talking about women succeeding, we're going to be talking about and unpacking what happens when women create spaces that allow other women to succeed, as well as what success looks like and feels like. And what women are doing, journeying through life today with all of the things that we have to deal with, but also all of the things that we have at our fingertips that perhaps we're not really seeing as opportunities for ourselves. Joining me today is someone whose work has become synonymous with creating visibility for others, giving people recognition that deserve it, leadership and what that actually means today as women, and creating opportunities for women to rise in whatever that is that they have a passion towards moving the needle for. Klaudia Zinaty is the CEO and founder of the Women Empowerment Awards and the Women Empowerment Foundation. And she has hit a 5 year milestone this year, which I cannot wait to dive into because the journey of the 5 years is something that I'm so intrigued to know about. How did she get to where she has today? And what does this community that she's built really mean? I want to talk to her now also about, what it means to recognize women, what mentorship for her has looked like in what she offers, and how do we develop leadership and not lose who we are as women and stay in touch with the nuances of what makes us who we are as individuals. The organization also has scholarships and has created a meaningful community that really does do deep, impactful work. So let's just hear what she has to say about everything. I want to welcome him now formally. Claudia, I adore you. You know that. And I'm so proud of you hitting this incredible 5 year milestone. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Raj. And thank you for being a part of it since its inaugural year. It's unbelievable to think that it's been 5 years already. So thank you.
Absolutely, Claudia. I mean, my gosh, when you came up with this concept all those years ago, I thought to myself, this is a slam dunk in terms of me supporting it. Everything that the value of this organization and community and awards and foundation that you've created is what I stand for as a woman, inherently speaking. We share this journey, right?
And that's what makes it so wonderful is to be able to do it together.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you something that, I've been percolating for a while. And even though, we know each other outside of, the professional space, we are friends as well. We are confidants. We are women who, help to create partnerships among women, among men out there, who really ally women a lot more than we're giving them credit for. And that is a really great topic of discussion as well that I'd love to lean into as we continue our discussion. But I want to ask you this, Claudia, for women meeting you for the first time today. Who is Claudia beyond the titles, beyond the stage, and beyond the accolades?
Well, first and foremost, she's a mother. And, being able to go into anything as that with those types of responsibilities. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a professor. I am, a philanthropist. So Claudia's a little bit of everything. And I think when you combine it all, it makes me who I am today. And being able to recognize that in others as well is wonderful because when I do something, I do it with an intention, but also I do it because I walk in the steps of it as well.
Absolutely. And you often speak about lifting other women. Was there a moment in your own life where someone opened a door for you that changed everything, that made it notable to you the importance of this type of support?
Absolutely. I mean, there in different stages of my career, there's always been someone who has been a mentor that I've looked up to who's provided the opportunities. And it's something so simple, Raj. It's like an introduction to someone. It's an invitation to something. Those are like such simple little things that you can offer, but can change the trajectory of someone's career. And so even when I started the Women Empowerment Awards, I approached two people that I personally looked up to, which was Suzanne Rogers and Sylvia Mantella. And I came up to them with an idea. And, the fact that I was seen, that I was heard, and the fact that I was supported in this initiative was really the foundation of why it became as successful as it is today. Because when you have people recognize and support that, then it opens opportunities and doors that you may not have had previously.
So let me ask you that. What has happened around you at that time when you were starting the Women Empowerment Awards? Like, I want you to kind of go back there. I want you to think about why was it that you decided that these awards and the foundation that followed thereafter was important? Like, what problem were you trying to solve?
Well, at the time it was COVID. And so when COVID hit, I was running a non-for-profit already. And I saw the firsthand the devastating effect it had on so many women who were let go, who were laid off, who were struggling to keep their businesses going. And then on top of that, in the background, the children home from daycares, the children home from schools. And here they are trying to juggle so much all at once. It was extremely overwhelming. And to be able to witness that, but also to witness the other side, which was the resilience, the determination, the perseverance, the balancing act. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit, and we're the first ones to give credit to others, but the last ones to give credit to ourselves. So coming out of that and experiencing that, I thought, I really wanted to create something that would be able to make women more visible, to allow women to step into their power and recognize the power they have within themselves to be able to do all of these things that they do and to be able to gain that visibility out there so that others can see and be inspired by. And so that's how it all became to be.
When you launched it 5 years ago, Claudia, just, something's coming to me that I want to ask you. Did you believe it would become what it is today, or did it evolve into something perhaps bigger than you initially thought? Because we have our, utopian dreams when we start something as creative beings that we are as humans, right? Share that with me.
So it's interesting that you asked that question because truthfully, coming out of COVID, I was weary, right? There was always that little bit of doubt. Are people going to show up? Because people were still very nervous about being, next to each other. Had it not been COVID, I definitely would have had way more confidence in the ability of it. But because we were coming out of a pandemic, it really was a bit of uncertainty. But having said that, I'll be honest with you, I believed in it. I believed in myself. I believed in what I wanted to do. And I think that's the first step is when you believe in yourself and what your ability is, and you believe in what you're doing because you're passionate about it, because you stand behind it, then you have the confidence to carry it through. So yes, I did believe it was going to be successful. My only concern was it coming out of the pandemic, but I knew this was something that was really going to take off. And I remember clearly the first year that we did it. I'll never forget this. I had one of the women that attended the awards. She came up to me and she said, Claudia, we should have been doing this 10 years ago. And I said, you're absolutely right. And that still stays with me today.
It makes me think of something else as well, Claudia. I mean, you've recognized hundreds of women to date now, right? In different capacities, whether it's with the awards, whether it's, having them speak at events that have initiated through the foundation, or, whether it's just, the networking opportunities and all the things that come along with being a part of your community. I want to ask you, what have those moments taught you about women and how often we minimize our own achievements? Because we do this still. I mean, we still do this.
I know, and that's the thing. It's I still see it today, and that's where we need to change. We need to change that mindset. We need to change that self-doubt, that imposter syndrome. And I think once we are able to do that, and the only way we're able to do that is really leading by example. So I think more women lead by example and they step into their confidence and others see them do that and think if they can do it, I can do the same. I think the second part is surround yourself with women that you look up to, that empower you, that inspire you, because when you're surrounded by that amazing village of women, it's incredible the opportunities and even just the self-confidence that you're able to achieve. And I think that's really important. And so one of the things I'm most proud of is when we started this, it was the awards. And now it's really evolved into a movement. It is a movement. It is a sisterhood of women supporting women, of women cheering each other on, of women collaborating with one another, just being able to really help each other out. And that's why I call it my family because, you always look to your family to help you out. And I really feel like we have become a family of sisters. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to witness. And I think that that is the first step when women feel a sense of community, a feeling of support, a feeling of recognition, of visibility, and knowing that their voices are heard, I think it really is the first step to being able to get out of that zone and really be able to uplift and empower.
Amen to that. Everything that you just said there is truly, why you do the things you do, right? It's why you take on the struggles as well, because, building something isn't easy, right? So I want to ask you that, through your experiences, having worked with women across so many different industries and so many different ways, what have you learned in terms of why women struggle so much to own their success? Because it's a thing, unfortunately.
What it honestly is, I mean, our society doesn't help, right? When you take a look at what women are getting paid in comparison to men, the fact that even during COVID, 72% of women in comparison to men were laid off and let go. And I think that societal pressures make it very difficult. And then you add having a family on the side and trying to balance, both, right? We have women in general have to balance the both the home life and the business. And so that also makes it a lot more challenging. And there's always that bit of self-doubt. I think the lack of confidence that a lot of women have. And I think that's where we need to really be able to build women's confidence. It's interesting, Raj, because when you take a look at even our awards, right? When you get that trophy, yes, it's a recognition of what you have accomplished and achieved, which is incredible. But I'll tell you something, the women that walk away with that award, that physical award, they're not just walking away with the award, they're walking away with confidence. They're walking away with opportunities. They're walking away with visibility. They're walking away with doors opening for them and being able to feel like they can accomplish anything that they put their mind to. And I have seen it, I've witnessed it firsthand that when women get that recognition and that visibility, it changes their level of confidence. It changes the fact of the way they perceive themselves. So instead of asking to be in a room and asking for permission, they go to the room because they know they belong in there. And so
Mm.
that's the one thing that we need to do is we need to recognize as many women as possible because the more that we do, the higher the confidence, the more opportunity comes their way. And that's how we're able to continue to do that for so many women in our society.
Recognition sounds beautiful on paper, but you kind of, with your organization are actualizing it and creating reality around it. But in your experience, what actually changes in a woman after she feels seen? You've alluded to that already with what you just said, but What actually changes?
Emily O'Brien, who won our Rogers Entrepreneur of the Year award. So when she first came to our event, she really, you could tell, like when she was on stage, she lacked the confidence. She really felt like out of her element. And I remember her coming up to me afterwards saying, like, how she felt so awkward in the sense that, she didn't feel like she belonged in that room with seeing all these women and such. And now, if you look up Emily O'Brien, she has done a complete 180. She is so confident. She went from having her popcorn, and her story is fantastic. So, I encourage everyone to look her up and be able to read her story. So, but she was incarcerated and she started this popcorn company. And while she was in prison, in a women's prison, and at the time when she won the award, her products were available at a lot of the small shops in local cities and such. And after the awards, I mean, the confidence of her now, she's on stages, she's doing TED Talks, she's speaking out at various events. Her product line has now gone national across Indigo and the Loblaw stores all across Canada. I mean, she has completely blown up. Absolutely. So when you ask me, like, what does that create? This is what it creates. It creates the ability to be able to see yourself of being able to do things that you never thought imaginable. And so that's one example, like Marcia Brown, who won our Mentella Corporation Entrepreneur BIPOC Award in the first year. She was doing Trust 15. And it was 15 young girls that she had that she would help them in terms of building confidence and leadership and such. And I remember this the very next morning, I had a voicemail message from her, and she had left me a voicemail saying, this award changed my life. She said, so many people used to tell me that I wouldn't be able to do what I want to do and I couldn't follow my dreams. And she said, after being on stage and winning that award, I know that I can do anything that I put my mind to. And now her program not only has expanded like tenfold, she's now including men into the young boys into the program so that she can be able to help young boys also be able to change the mindset of how they encourage and be able to be able to show respect with women, and being able to perceive women in a much more positive, respectful, encouraging way. So it's beautiful to be able to see that. Christina Calara, who last year won our Innovation Award, who created puzzles for Artistic Son, just now got featured in Walmart stores. And so this is where I'm saying it's beautiful to be able to witness, because you see that change and also the collaborations. There was recently a collaboration with Becky DeLeo, who was our award recipient for mentorship in the first year. And she actually met one of our finalists last year at the awards, who does rights to Afghanistan, and it's right to learn. And it helps young girls in Afghanistan get an education. So the two of them collaborated and they did this beautiful art collection with Becky DeLeo's Sixth Academy at Toronto District School Board with her organization. So it's beautiful to be able to see these opportunities and these collaborations and this growth. And so to answer your question, like, this is the result of what happens when you give the woman the visibility and the recognition that she truly deserves.
It's the gift that just keeps giving, right?
It really does. And
Yes,
women collaborate and connect together and share ideas. It's beautiful.
absolutely. I'm curious, Claudia. I mean, you talk about how, the community that has been built over the last 5 years through the awards and through the foundation and through the work that you do throughout the year. Um, I want to know this. What has changed in your journey, in your perspective on, life, in your thoughts about women that you feel is something that has been really profound for you to learn through this experience?
For me, I think when I see the incredible work that women do, I think for me, what's most profound is the amount of incredible things that women are doing. And, I wish I could recognize all of them in that room one by one and be able to give awards, because it's really incredible to be able to see. what every single woman is doing. And I think when you also think behind the scenes, how much she is handling, like, we all have stories. We all go through our obstacles and, all of the challenges that we face. And I think the stories are so important. And one of the things that I recognize a lot is that when you see these women share their stories, there's so much that we relate to because we've all been through it. We've all been through something in someone's story, whether we were immigrants, whether, we are single parents, whether we are juggling family and balancing life, whatever it is, we can all relate to something. And so for me, it's seeing that room of women who are just doing it so well and being able to recognize them, I think is so incredibly important. My dad used to say when I was younger and before I went to school, and he used to say, um, wealth is knowledge. And so he would always say, go get an education because wealth is knowledge. And I'll tell you, Raj, every year when I sit in that room of 500 women, I think I am in the wealthiest room ever. Because if you sat and had dinner conversations with all of these women, imagine what you could learn. Women underestimate how much they contribute and make an impact to society. And I really feel that we need to give ourselves more credit because we really do change so many lives and we really do make an impact to society. And I think what we need to do is be better and stop being so humble and being able to use our voices to recognize that and give ourselves the credit that's due.
Here, 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 here to that. Oh my gosh. In one sentence, just so we can encapsulate it, in one sentence, Claudia, how has being the CEO and founder of the Women Empowerment Awards and Foundation changed your life? Give it to me, sister.
Oh my gosh. It's been a humbling experience. It really has, because just being surrounded by so many incredible women and stories, I think has been really beautiful to see. Just the growth that we've had over the last 5 years has been tremendous. What we're doing with the foundation and being able to give back to the next generation of young girls has been incredible. It really has been life-changing for me. It really has, because the amount of amazing women, so many of them now that I call my friends, has been tremendous to be able to meet so many in such a small amount of time, but being able to collaborate with so many, and also just to see how many of them give back. Like when we started the foundation, the number of women who stepped forward to say, I would love to be a mentor to another young girl. I would love to be able to contribute my time to be able to help others. We recently did a couple of projects through our foundation where we gave out 100 tote bags to women's shelters with all the essentials and such that were from our swag bags. And so many women stepped up and donated and provided. It's a it's a beautiful thing to be able to witness. We recently did the prom project where we gave dresses to young girls who could not afford to go to their prom because of financial barriers of purchasing a very expensive prom dress. And so we did an outreach to our community and they all came in and were able to do that. So just to be able to witness that, I think honestly, it's so humbling. And it also, on the other side, shows what a powerful group of women that we have, the power of what we can achieve. So that to me has been the most life-changing, is really being able to witness firsthand the power of women, the power of community and sisterhood, and the impact that we have collectively made as a group. It's been a beautiful thing to witness.
For those people who are, watching, listening, and reading this right now who perhaps aren't familiar with the Women Empowerment Awards and Foundation, let's just dive in a little bit and share a little bit of what it's all about. It's been built on three pillars: elevate, educate, empower. Walk us through these three.
So elevate is being able to provide visibility, support visibility, and being able to put these women out in the spotlight. And this is women and young girls. educate is being able to provide them with the skill sets, the knowledge, and we do that through guest panels, we do that through mentorship. So different opportunities to be able to help them learn something new or a new skill set, or being able to align them with someone who can help them level up. And then empower is our award. So it's being able to give them that recognition to be able to create opportunities and collaboration for them as well. So those are the three pillars that we believe in as part of our mission.
And now, 5 years later, here we are. We are sitting barely a couple of months away from the big festivities. Let's share with everyone what is being planned that perhaps is different from what you've done before. And maybe we start by telling them what you normally do, and then what is going to be different in this 5 years of festivities, because I know that you've got a lot up your sleeve. You're slowly starting to talk about some of this stuff, but I know that there's like hardly no tickets left. And hopefully, there'll still be a few left when we launch this episode, Claudia. Why should people get involved? Share all of the good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the sports is just a beautiful environment to be a part of, because it's women empowering women. It's women supporting each other. It's a great way to be able to network. It's a great way to be able to, make new friends. It's a great night out, and we celebrate these women. So, there's a lot of different things going on. It's not your typical awards. I always tell people it's not your typical awards, because there's a good time before where there's a lot of activations with small owned businesses. So there's a lot of opportunities to learn about these other small business owners and be able to participate. So we have everything. Like there's, I think, 12 or 13 activations this year. And again, everything that I do, Raj, is very intentional. The theme is all about transformation, because we have transformed. So the last 4 years, we've been sold out. Every venue that we've been in, we have sold out months in advance. And interestingly enough, the last 3 years we've been at the Park Hyatt, and every year we have sold out in June, our events in September. And had we stayed at the Park Hyatt this year, we would have already been sold out before the tickets even went on sale, because we are already at 400, and that would have been the full capacity at the Hyatt. So, the fact that we've moved on to a new space is actually very beneficial, because last year we had a massive waiting list of 72 people that we weren't able to let in because we were at full capacity. So this year, we've moved into a larger space to be able to do that. But the wonderful thing is because there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of activations, there's opportunities to be able to meet new people and exchange numbers and network. And then you have this beautiful gala event where we're recognizing these 10 powerhouse women on stage, and then we bring in performers. Like this year we've got Simone Denny from Love Inc., who sings that superstar song. And again, intentional. I deliberately picked her for our 5th year, because if you listen to the lyrics of Superstar, it stands for what I believe in. And so I really wanted her to be able to celebrate with us on our 5th year, because that song is so impactful to me personally and resonates with me. And I wanted it to be like our anthem for our 5th year. And then we brought in Dee Dee Austin, who's coming in from PEI, and she's this amazing 20-year-old Indigenous performer who won the Golden Buzzer with Canada's Got Talent. And so we wanted to bring her in, because again, we want to be able to recognize and represent as many women as possible. And then, after our amazing awards gala, there's more opportunity for women to connect afterwards. And so that's why it's such an important night, because not only is it just recognizing these women, but there's so many other aspects to it that are so important. And then, of course, our gift bags, which
Oh,
I know. Our amazing gift bags worth like $3,000 every single year. So it's wonderful. But again, Raj, like everything that I do is very intentional. I really want to be able to create this evening, but it has to be of value, right? Like we talk about, what is important to that person, because when they're buying the ticket, we want to make sure that they get a lot in return in terms of value. So they're getting that opportunity to network. They're having this lovely 3-course meal at the Fairmont Royal York, which is a beautiful historic, space. They're getting a performer by, Juno Award-winning performance. And then on top of that, they're getting this opportunity to be able to collaborate and network and change information with all these amazing, powerful women in a room. So we really try to do as much as we possibly can, because we want them to walk away feeling inspired and empowered and feeling that they've just made a whole bunch of new friends and connections. So that's really important as well.
Absolutely, Claudia. And, you know, other than buying tickets, are there other ways that women can get involved? Are there opportunities in sponsorship? Are there opportunities for corporates who may be, listening, watching, and reading this? Share that a little bit with everyone.
There's opportunities to be involved in so many different ways. So you can be a mentor, you can be a volunteer, there's an opportunity to be a sponsor, there's an opportunity to be a partner and be able to, be one of our vendors. With our sponsors, with our scholarships, you can provide a grant to be able to help a young girl be able to pursue her post-secondary education. We've actually had some award recipients from our past sponsor a scholarship for a young girl to be able to pursue post-secondary education. You can sponsor one of our awards with a gift, similar to what you are doing with the incredible cover for today's Confident Woman. So there's a lot of opportunities to be able to be involved. So we encourage everyone to be able to reach out to us. Any idea that you have, anything that you can contribute, we're always looking for that involvement because the more that people contribute, the more impact that we can make.
Absolutely. I'm curious, Claudia, having done this for 5 years, like 5 years, sister, like I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you because, having watched you along this journey quite intimately, I always see this one thing happening, this common denominator, this thread, from year one to year five, and that is, how can I make this more impactful for the women? Like, this is the big statement that, you're always trying to figure out. You're always, looking at how can you make this better? This has never been about, oh, anything that is coming from a space of, I don't know, this is about me, right? Because what I find with you is when it's about them, it's about you. Like, comment on that.
It really is. And to me, the most proud moment for me is being able to see other women shine. And so I think, we talk about leadership all the time, right? And I think leadership is so important. And one of the things that I've been able to benefit from seeing this grow from 250 women to over 500 plus women is, I've learned to be a better leader. I've learned to be a better communicator. I've learned to be more intentional with the decisions that I make. And so I am more intentional with the partners that we align with as well. There's been partners I've turned away because they're doing it more for visibility than they are with aligning with our mission and our belief.
Mm,
I think, being able to be authentic, being able to lead with purpose and intention is really important to be able to do that. So, with this year, all of the aspects that we are doing, all of the awards that we are providing, the additional awards that we're providing in addition to the physical trophy award, are all done very intentionally so that it provides the visibility. So, like, for example, with, being on the cover of your publication, another example is having a national broadcast interview as one of the awards, giving $15,000 grants that will help a startup company really be able to do something fantastic and be able to level up, and a $10,000 grant and these $2,500 grants. This year, one of the award prizes is a $10,000 pitch package where someone who has one of our actual award recipients from last year is donating her entire program of how she was able to bring in over $3 million of investors. And so she's going to teach that to another woman. I know. So this is what I'm saying. It's amazing to be able to see that. But that's what it is when I'm planning this year, you'll see when it unfolds is that everything is done very intentionally. And
mhm,
purpose to be able to, how can we reach more women? How can we uplift more women? How can we provide more role models for these young girls so that they have more confidence? We build young leaders. We're able to show them how to be able to give back to their communities. So I think being able to do all of those things is really important. But I'm continuously growing, and you and I talk about this all the time. Is that
mhm.
we never stop growing ourselves. And you and I know there's hills and valleys. Like, we all have struggles. Like, don't think that this was, it launched this way. There's always been issues with our economy, with what's happening in the U.S., with everything that's with the pandemic. All of these things are factors, but it's how do you overcome them? How do you find solutions? That don't focus on the problem, focus on the solutions. How to be able to bring in the right people that would be able to move it forward, move that needle forward. So all of those things are always important to be able to find and resolve as well.
What have you discovered, Claudia, that women actually need more of? Because, as you're talking about all of these solutions and resources and, you know, extras on top of, just getting the award itself is a part of the intentionality of what you're doing here. So I feel it's important because I know that you've done deep thought and deep research and deep, conversations with people to really come up with all of this added value, right? It's like a 5D value that people are getting. So I need to ask you this. What have you discovered that women actually need more of? Is it confidence? Is it capital? Is it community? Is it skills? Is it visibility? And don't say all of the above because we know it's all of the above. And perhaps if you're going to say that, I'm prefacing your answer. Which do you need in what order of priority? Maybe that's the question I want to ask you. So, confidence, capital, community, skills, visibility.
I think the one thing I've noticed the most with all of my interactions and women year over year over year, the biggest thing for them is a sense of community. They want to feel a sense of belonging. And so I think through community, you get access to all of those things. You get to learn leadership because you can find a leader and be able to learn from that leader. You can get mentorship. You can be able to find out from others how they get grants and access to funding. So I think if you build a really strong community, then all of those other things are accessible to them because it opens the doors for opportunities to be able to have access to women who have either done it, know about it, or can direct you in the right place to be able to do that. But that's one thing that I learned because a lot of the times it's interesting when you see the women get together, it's really for me very profound when you realize that they just want someone to who knows what they've been through. And they want someone who can relate to the struggles of starting your own business, products not being shipped in time, balancing family and entrepreneurship, not getting that deal or getting that deal and having no one be able to recognize it because they're just go, 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 go. And I think so when you're in that community where you've got people supporting you, who are giving you that visibility, who are giving you that access, who are helping you with funding, even through myself. The number of times that I've reached out to our community, because it's our sisterhood. So the number of times I've reached out to our community, and I do it all the time. And I'm like, does anyone know someone who can help us with this? Does anyone know someone that could help us with, grant writing, being able to do social media, whatever it is? And it's wonderful because, if we need mentorship, hey, we need mentorship in construction. Is there anybody there that you can do it? And I think that's what it is. You need a community to tap into that it has all of these resources and tools and knowledge and experience. And, once everybody is able to share that, then we all win, right? Because once one woman rises, we all rise. So we all cheer each other on. So I would say community. I think community really feeds everything else.
Mhm. I absolutely agree with you. I think that's an excellent way of looking at it because, oftentimes we look at, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this, but I don't know what order I need it in. Perhaps what you need is a place where there are people who have already done this, who already have this. And that's what you're talking about here, Claudia. I love that that's the way that we should look at solutioning things. Find an organization, find a community, find your tribe, find your sisterhood, wherever that needs to be for you. And the other part of this that I've learned from my experience, having coached so many women, Claudia, you know this, right? Is for some reason, women still don't feel confident to ask for the help, right? And I feel that's what you're doing a lot of is almost like not having to have them ask, but giving them the offerings of solutioning and resources and opportunity. Your comment.
No, I agree. And I think, like, and you're right. The lack of confidence in women, I think, is really, unfortunately, it's far too often. And I think once women have that confidence, but I think what builds that confidence is being in those rooms and being able to see and be inspired and connect with women who can cheer you on, who can support you, who can advocate for you, who can make those introductions on your behalf that you may not feel the confidence to be able to do that. But once you make that connection, then you can step into your confidence to be able to carry it through. And I think that's what it is once you feel the sense of belonging, like I'll tell you, when I first got into like, because as you know, I was in the fashion industry before, and I remember when I first got into the fashion industry, I had no confidence at all. I felt like I was so out of my element. And it wasn't until I started to put myself into spaces where there were other like-minded individuals like me, I started to build my confidence because I was surrounded by women that really helped me be able to believe in myself, have confidence in myself, and be able to, step into my own power to know this is what I want to do and how I want to be able to do it. But I think sometimes you need to be in that room and feel confident that you belong in that room. So that's why, yes, absolutely. I think confidence is extremely important. And when you surround yourself with a whole support of women who believe in you, you start to believe in yourself.
You know, you've just opened a massive wide door that I'm going to step right into, sister. Let's talk about how you've done that. For women out there, they look at women like you, they look at women like me, they look at the women with the titles, right? The women that have done the things that they wish they could do, but they don't know where to start. I want to give them a little bit of an insight into that through you. Are you game?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to start by asking you, what has been the hardest moment in the last 5 years? And did you ever question continuing because of it?
Gosh. Okay. So we're getting personal now.
We're
Okay.
going there, girl.
Okay. So most of my followers and community don't know this, but in 2022, just before Christmas, actually, I had broken my leg and I had broken both major leg bones in my right leg and I had fractured my ankle in 5 places. And I remember,
I remember this.
yes. And so here I am, and this was at the tail end of COVID. So I wasn't able to get surgery for 8 days in excruciating pain, like you could not even imagine. And by the time I got surgery, which was in December, and I started to heal, literally having to learn, had to wait it out to heal, but also to learn to be able to use my right leg again, which was really difficult when you live in a house with stairs and you drive and not being able to function. And I remember clearly sitting in bed, I think it was in February, and I felt so defeated because I was planning the awards. No one knew that I had broken my leg. And I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to run this event and be able to do it when I can't even get out of bed? And, that's really where I remember a lot of my dear friends that are so close to me and I love them. And they actually said, you know what, Claudia, just cancel it for this year. Just cancel it, work on your healing. Everyone will understand. And you can come back next year and be able to continue it on next year. And I remember, Raj, at that moment, I actually said to them, there is absolutely no way I'm going to let these women down. These women have to be recognized, and I
Yes.
everything in my power to ensure that they are. And so I did everything from bedside for months. And it wasn't until I think like 6 months of healing until I was able to be able to walk again and function again. And even then, I wasn't actually fully healed. but I was still in my high heels at the event in September. But to me, that's again, it's us being able to realize the power and the strength that we have within ourselves and being able to tap into that and change the mindset. And, it's so easy to be defeated and say, I'll just postpone it. I'll next month, next Monday, next year. And it's so easy for us to do that. That's such an easy way out. But I think, being able to say, no, I'm not going to allow myself that excuse of being able to back out. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to see it through. I'm going to push through it. So I would say to other women, even at your worst time, even if you feel defeated, even if it feels like things are not going your way, you know, start. Take that first step. And I remember that first step I took down the stairs after my leg was like okay enough to be able to do it. And it was painful. It was painful to go down the stairs with, two leg bones broken. But I remember feeling such a sense of pride when I made it to the bottom of the stairs. So I would say with everyone, take that first step and just keep on going and don't allow anyone or anything to stop you.
Oh my gosh. Resilience comes in so many shapes and forms, right, Claudia? And there is a way out. And there always is, more than one way of solutioning something. And sometimes it's okay to say, I need to sit this one out because I need to give myself grace and permission to say that I actually need to step out for now. There is a time when you do need to listen to that, but there is also a time, like you've just shared here, which I think is so powerful, and that is there a way you can still do it and deal with the challenge at the same time, right? I want to ask you, because you did that way,
Yeah.
what did you learn about your capacity for resilience?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I think all of us, I'm not going to say I think all of us, I think we underestimate ourselves. I really do. I think a lot of the times we underestimate our ability to be able to push through things, to be able to take on things, to be able to bounce back from things, to make that comeback. And I think so many of us really underestimate our abilities to really look deep within ourselves and be able to use that inner strength and that mindset to be able to do it. And that's one of the things that I really feel that I actually posted something on my Instagram like a couple of weeks ago, and it said, "Underestimate me. That will be fun." And true, because I live by that. Like, yeah, go ahead, underestimate me. That'll be fun to watch because I think we tend to do that. So we really need to realize what our superpowers are because we all have them, all of it. And you're absolutely right. We know ourselves better than anyone.
Hmm.
Tapped out. You know when you need a reset, you know when you need a rest because you can't always be on. And I think it's important to be able to recognize when you need to take that break, to take that reset button, to be able to put your health, mental health, and wellness first and foremost, because you need to have that in order to function properly and move forward. And also when to be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to let this setback define who I am and what direction I'm going to go. And so I think it's that ability to know which one it is and being able
Mm.
to follow through.
Do you think women misunderstand empowerment?
I do. I don't think they realize how powerful they are, Raj.
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about everything that we do. Like the fact that our bodies bring life to other people. It's just, I mean, it's incredible to see the superpowers that we have. And no matter what comes our way, we still do what we do. And we just roll up our sleeves and we're like, okay, let's get this done. And yeah, I do. I actually feel that a lot of women don't know how to tap into their superpower. And I think once they do, whether it's the confidence that you help women be able to ignite within themselves, whether it's the leadership that they're born leaders and they just need that one person to help them bring that out in them, whether it's the opportunity for them to be able to take something that they absolutely love, that's their passion, and be able to do a business of it and bring it to life and make it something that they love doing and love being able to give to others. And so I think that's what it is if we can ignite that flame, that spark, I think then we're able to make such a huge impact. And all it takes is one person. It takes one
Mhm.
to ignite that spark. And it will create such an incredible impact to so many. It's like when you see that image of, you light that one match and then all the matches all light. And I think that's the beauty of it is it takes that one spark and then you're able to pass that on to so many other women and be able to help like a huge community.
Let's try and help one woman, Claudia, right now, who may be watching, listening, or reading this, who feels capable, but also feels invisible. Like, what would you want her to understand about bridging that gap?
Is that she can do it. And it just means taking that first step. So I think the women that are afraid to or too shy or, have self-doubt, have lack the confidence is do it. Take that first step. Attend, a conference, a function, something that you are passionate or that you believe in, or something that excites you or interests you. Take that first step. Make that first outreach. Even if you are too nervous to do it in person, do it, through LinkedIn or other platforms and reach out to that person. Tell them why you admire them and ask for that 15-minute coffee chat. I think that's the first step is to be able to do that outreach because if you find that one mentor, Raj, that
Mm.
will open up so many doors and open your eyes about how you see yourself. And I think that's really important because the minute we start seeing ourselves differently in the sense of what we're capable of, what we can achieve, how we see ourselves as women, but also as entrepreneurs, as CEOs and founders, and the impact that we are able to make and are making right now in society. And once we recognize that within ourselves, I think that is what is going to then change the perception, not only of how we see ourselves, but how we can pay it forward to other women and help them see that within themselves.
What's something women need to stop apologizing for? Because that tends to get in the way of everything that you just said.
And we're the first ones to say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. We have, we need to stop doing that. And it's interesting because I even did a blog about this the other day where we talk about women versus men applying for certain positions, right? So men will apply for positions that they're only 60% qualified for. Women will apply for positions when they're as close to 100%. Like if they're 60% or even 70 or even 80, they won't apply for a position, but men will. So
It's
just
crazy.
and they get the job and the men get the job. So it just shows you like the mindset for them that the fact that they are willing at 60% to throw their name in there to be able to have that confidence. And so we need to be able to say, hey, we need to do that. We don't need to wait for that 100%. We don't need to wait until we're 100% ready. Even when people apply for the awards, I say to them, like, you don't have to wait until you reach this level that you feel that in your head you have to reach in order to qualify. Like, we want women to be able to recognize themselves along all the journeys of their life, to be able to give themselves credit through every single step of that journey, not the end result, but every single step, because every single one of those is an achievement that helped them get to the next and to the next. So we need to be able to celebrate all those small successes. And I think that's where we need to change that mindset, where we see ourselves as capable and able equally as men. And we don't have to wait for that perfect timing, perfect moment, perfect success story in order to be able to do that.
One word women need more of.
Oh gosh, I mean, and for me, the word's always empowerment. It always is. We
Hmm.
really do. I think
Yep.
that's why I started it, is because
Hmm.
that word is so powerful. It's got the power in there, empowerment. And I think when women step into their power and see the strength of what their skills, knowledge, abilities are, they're visionaries, they're change makers, they're trailblazers in all the different industries that they do. And once they recognize what that superpower is, then it's a matter of, okay, how do we grow that? How do we put a spotlight on that? How do we blow it up so that, everybody else can see it too? So that's not just kept within, but it's shining the light on it so that everyone else can see.
Absolutely. What's one leadership quality more women should embrace?
Oh my goodness. I would say communication is really important. Really being able to communicate is really key as a leader. I think being able to recognize the strength in others and being able to allow them to communicate that strength and being able to share that strength with so many. Because when you have a group of great leaders, then any one of them can take over. And that's the beautiful thing, is being able to be in a room and not know who's in charge, because so many of them are so good at being leaders that any single one of them can step up and be able to take over. And so for me, it's not just the ability of that title of being a leader, but it's of what are you able to do in action? How are you able to communicate to others? How are you able to see the strength in other people and know what that strength is and zone in on that strength so that you're able to, utilize that to be able to do something for the greater good. And so that's, to me, is important, is good leaders are able to be able to do things in action. And the action would be things like being a strong communicator so that you're able to do wonderful things both within an organization, but also in society as a whole.
Absolutely. And it's something that women are so innately good at because of our nurturing capacities being so deeply rooted, right? Um, we need to use more of those innate abilities that we have that are, that ebb towards the feminine side of, humans in these leadership positions so that we are able to create more of a holistic and a meaningful and an impactful environment. So I agree with everything that you just said there, Claudina. Uh, I kind of want to ask you, what is something you're personally working on? Because we're always looking at bettering ourselves. We talk about this all the time. What right now are you personally working on for yourself?
For me, I think the most part is just being able, like one of the things I've always wanted to do, Raj, is I've always wanted to be a speaker. And I have started doing that by being speakers on different panels. Yeah. And so I think I've told you one of my dream with you and I had this conversation a few years back is that I've always wanted to be on a stage and be a motivational speaker. And so that's one of the things that I've started doing, but I'm perfecting that because that's something that, isn't done overnight. It's being able to really hone in on that skill and learn how to be able to communicate, how to be able to use voice trajectory, how to be able to use hand motions, how to be able to ask the right questions for engagement. So that's one of the things that I'm working on. The other thing is learning to balance it all as we grow. The other thing too is, there's a lot more responsibility. So we're so much and we are adding things every year. Like when I first started in 2022, it was only the awards. And then, 2 years later, it was the awards and the foundation. And now we're planning to expand that community, which we're hoping to do in the next year or two, to be able to really make it more of a sisterhood community and to be able to grow it, not just in Canada, because we get so many people from all over that want to be a part of it, to be able to expand it on a global level. So for me, the learning is always going in. AI is a really big thing right now. So again, that's something that I personally don't know a lot about, but I want to be able to learn because I know that's the direction of where our society is going and where business is going. So that's something that I'm also working on, and really being able to create opportunities for women to be able to get together and do, have very intentional conversations. And whether it's learning from each other about how to be able to level up their businesses, whether it's learning about how to balance family life, whether it's about mental health and stress, whether it's about financial literacy, how to get their brand more exposure. And I think being able to create opportunities where women can come together and have those conversations and learn off each other, I think is also really important. So there's a lot of different things that I'm working on, and it's a lot of the things that I've gotten better at is that I'm giving myself now more time for myself, for self-care, and more time with my family, and just being able to take moments to enjoy and embrace the quiet periods as well. So that's one of the things I'm learning to be better at as well.
I love it. So for women who aren't pushing the needle for themselves, they ask themselves, I'll go after it when I have more time, more money, more experience, and more anything else. What would you say to them?
I would say change your mindset, because you're the only limitation you're putting is on yourself. So if you're going to continue to put those limitations on yourself, then you're never going to be able to move that needle forward. So I would say stop putting your own limitations on yourself, because other people will put limitations on you,
Yes.
right? So when we start doing it for ourselves, then we really are taking a massive step backwards. So once we stop doing that, then that's half the battle. That's half the battle. So, just start, like connect with someone that you look up to and admire. Make some, friends at a organization event, whatever it is, and be able to learn off of each other and listen to each other and learn from each other, because there's a lot of growth in that as well. But
Mhm.
like, you have to change that mindset, because the minute that you keep going in that cycle, you'll never break it. And that's the first step, is being able to break that cycle. And if you have a difficult time doing that, then connect with someone who has done it and
Mm.
they got through it, and be able to learn from that so that you are able to do it yourself.
What's something women tell themselves that keeps them small? Like you believe that that thing that they tell themselves that keeps them small is just simply not true. Can we bust that myth?
I think a lot of it is, that it's not, we fear failure, and
Mm,
no one's going to show up. It's not going to be able to take off. I think a lot of it is fear of failure. And I think that's the big step backwards that causes women not to be able to do the things that they want to do. They keep saying to themselves, it's not going to work, or no one's going to buy my product, or, I'm not going to get the exposure that I want to be able to get. And I think when you start making already excuses for yourself and believing that, I think then, that's the imposter syndrome. The biggest thing that I've seen is like the number of times that I tell women, well, did you nominate yourself? No, me? Why? Like, no, no, no. Why not you? Why not you? Tell me why not you. And I always tell them, like, oh, tell me why not you. And then they're just like, hey, maybe I will. And then it suddenly changes, like, maybe I will. Yes, because like you said, we're the first ones to block ourselves to that self-doubt, that imposter syndrome, that we're not ready enough, we're not good enough, it's gonna fail. It's not, but I always say, if you knew that you would never fail, how big would you dream?
wow, that's a big one. So I kind of feel that there's something really important to think about here with what you've just said. Let me ask you from your experience, do women need more motivation or more permission?
I think we definitely need more motivation. But I don't think we need permission. I think we give ourselves permission. The only people that stops us is us. So we need to stop asking for permission and we just need to be in the rooms where we belong because we do belong there. And I think we need to stop thinking that we don't. I think we need to stop thinking that those rooms are for these people, but not for us. And the minute that we allow ourselves that opportunity to be like, no, I belong in that room and I belong in that room and I belong in that room. And I think when we start allowing ourselves that opportunity, that's giving ourselves permission. We're not asking for it. We're now taking control of that. So we need to take that control back and stop waiting for others to be able to do that for us and be able to do it ourselves. And that's where the leadership kicks in, right? A good
Mm,
that within themselves. And once you build up that confidence and that leadership, then you know that every room that you go in there, you belong in that room. And I think that's really a very important aspect of being able to do that.
hmm. It just makes me think of something because, as builders, which we are as women, right? You've built this community. I built my community. We build our homes, right? Um, how do you know when you're building from purpose versus trying to prove something? And does it matter?
And that's a great question, Raj. And I think the difference that the shift to me, at least personally with my business, is that, you know, I'm not here to build myself. I'm not here to build the company. I'm here to serve others. And I think when you realize that what you're doing, your purpose in life is to serve others, then I think that's where it changes the way that the way your life is, the trajectory of your business, because we're not here for self-serving. We're not here so that we can build ourselves up. We're here to help others build themselves up because when they win, we win because we sit back and go, look at how much they're shining. Look at what they've accomplished. Look at what they've done. So that's the way that I live my life on a daily
Mhm.
with.
So what so what's a belief about success that perhaps you had before women's empowerment awards and foundations experience came into your life that you no longer agree with?
Before it was to I believed before that it was all about the recognition, how many awards you get, how many times you're published, how many things you're on, and then so, and those are all great, like don't get me wrong, they're fantastic, they give you great exposure, they're wonderful, but that's not life's purpose. Life's purpose is what are you doing to serve others? How are you doing something in life that is going to help others rise, that are going to help others level up, that are going to help others be able to lead by example? That's where the legacy comes in, right? The legacy
Mhm.
you've achieved. The legacy is how are you building something that is going to continue to sustain for many years to come, 25, 30, 50, long after you're long gone. So the legacy isn't after you've moved on. The legacy is in the here and now. What are you building today that is going to continue to pay it forward for the next 50, 100 years in the next generation of young girls who are going to step in and continue on that legacy. So that to me is the most important piece. And so I don't look at, um, awards and that those are wonderful recognitions and I'm so humbled and grateful for them. But for me, the ultimate award is being able to see the impact that I'm making to even one woman's life. If I know I've changed the trajectory of one woman or one young girl, then that to me is the greatest form of success.
How do women learn to celebrate themselves privately, Claudia, since that's what, we're living with on a daily basis? Because we go and we, showcase once a year, right? But that once a year is kind of like either a culmination of something or it's the start of something, right? Um, how do we celebrate ourselves on a daily basis? I
And
feel that that's something that you're building with the foundation, right? Like that, the bits that happen between one awards and the next awards. Share that a little bit for me.
and the littlest things. So I think two things. I think personally, to celebrate yourself, it could be anything. It could be self-care. It could be buying, a $10 bouquet of flowers, or it could be sitting at your favorite coffee shop and just having that moment to yourself to be able just to take it all in. It could be the simplest things. It could be having a nice hot bath, being able to just enjoy that moment and just take that self-care or getting a pedicure, like things that you normally would not have the time or opportunity to, I think is really important. So self-care is important. Giving yourself time is important because time is, yeah, it's a commodity.
Everything. It's everything.
Really is. So when I allow myself to sit in the backyard and have my latte in the morning and just listen to the birds and enjoy that moment, that to me is celebrating myself because it's allowing myself that peace and quiet before, the hustle and bustle of the day. And so I think it's something as simple as that. It's going out with a girlfriend and just being able to have that quality time with someone that you really enjoy spending time with, or your partner or your spouse, whoever it is. So I think that in terms of personal is important to be able to do, and it costs absolutely nothing. These
Mhm.
are things that you can do at home and you don't necessarily have to spend money on, but it's important to do it. And that's the critical part, is it's important because I'll tell you something, Raj, when women start to recognize themselves and congratulate themselves, even if it's like, good job, Claudia, even as simple as that. They actually say there's studies that show that if you even just do that, give yourself away, it actually changes your mindset. It changes your ability, changes your confidence. It actually has a psychological impact on you. So even though those things might seem like nothing, they actually do make a psychological impact in the way that you perceive yourself and your ability to be able to do even greater things and be able to dream bigger and do more. So I think that's really important. From a group perspective, I think it's important to be able to share the good news with other people. Again, we're so humble that we like, may I share this example of, with your award, right? It's important for me to be able to recognize you, but it's also wonderful that you are able to recognize yourself. And when all of your friends are also being able to recognize the tremendous things that you have done, I think that's really important as well. So I think when you build yourself a beautiful group of women who all uplift each other and are the first ones to be able to congratulate you, as well, I think is important. So you need to do both. But the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to just wait on that acknowledgement from other people. We want to be able to take a moment and be able to do it for ourselves because that changes us psychologically to be able to give us that confidence to keep going and to do greater things.
Oh my gosh, absolutely, Claudia. And this whole another myth that just came into my head that I just want to quickly mention. And that is this whole idea of, well, I can't do this because someone in my circle is doing this, right? Only one person is allowed. For some reason, as women, we think this, right? Only one of us is allowed to do the thing. You take you and I for the perfect example. We are essentially doing the same thing in different ways, right? And I support everything that you do and partner up with you and do all the things to support you as you do with me. Why is it that women can't do that the way men do that? Because I really feel that there'd be different conversations that would be happening today than that one conversation that's been happening since women initially started fighting for their rights. Your comment.
I think there's room for everyone. And I think that's where we need to realize that there's room for everyone. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you are in interior design, whether you're in construction, whether you have a small business, a bakery, whatever it is, there's room for everyone. And I think what differentiates you from the others is your heart and soul, your authentic story. And I think that's the storytelling part, right? That's what really makes you who you are. Doesn't mean that that the others are not as good. It means that they have their stories and you have your story. And I think you can both be in that same exact kind of circle and aura and energy. And, instead of women thinking of each other as competition, I think there's so much more growth in collaboration. And by supporting each other, I think everyone wins because, people will be drawn to things that resonate with them. And I think that's where you have that opportunity and ability to really be able to differentiate yourself, but also to be able to, be in that same space without feeling that that person is taking away from you or taking away the business. Because I get asked that all the time, even with the awards at the very beginning. People say, like, are you ever nervous about the other awards that are out there? And, what are your thoughts about that? And I always say, you know what, the more the merrier,
Yeah,
because that we have that can recognize women, great. Now there's like multiple platforms where women can be recognized. Wonderful. That's going to help our society and help minimize that gender inequality gap even more because now there's more opportunities for women to be recognized and be put in the spotlight. So I don't see that as competition. I think that's actually helping our greater cause of what we're trying to achieve by being able to have women be recognized and hopefully be able to reduce that gender inequality gap and give more women the opportunity to have those senior positions, with 8% of women being in senior positions. Hopefully we can grow that number to 12, 20, plus and 50, 100, hopefully. That's the cause, that's the, result of what we're trying to be able to achieve. So I do believe that when we start thinking differently in terms of these people are not competition, they're actually helping our industry grow by having more representation of women in that industry. I think that's the overall picture is going to be much stronger. So imagine if there was, instead of one woman in construction, there's 20. How great is that for women in construction? Now we're
hmm,
of women in non-traditional roles in an area where other young girls and other women can see, wow, maybe that's an area I'd like to get into. I've always been really interested in that. And now you're allowing them that opportunity. So now that industry is growing as a result. So I think with any industry and any business, we need to see it as an opportunity and as a way to elevate women, not as a way of competing.
absolutely, because that doesn't help any of us, right, Claudia? And it's interesting because it's kind of like having, as you'll relate to this as as a mother, right? You have more than one child, right? One type of language works for one child, and the other type of language works for another child. What if we only had one organization that was speaking the story in one way, and we didn't have the half a dozen organizations that were speaking the same thing in different ways? We wouldn't have as many women that are going to try and break that ceiling of 8% of women sitting in those high jobs because they don't think they can, because they, first of all, can't rewire their brain to understand that they are worthy and that they actually can, and that it's okay to have 60% or 75% of, check marks before they go and apply for the job the way that men do. And, I look at that, I think to myself, kudos to guys, kudos to men that they're like, you know what? I don't have it all, but I've got some of it. I'll learn the rest along the way. I wish more women were like that. I wish that's a trait of men that I wish women had. But a trait that women have that they don't use to further themselves is nurturing themselves the way they nurture their family members. Like, do it for yourself. This is something, Claudia, that really you've been saying since the beginning of our conversation. Like, Nurture yourself, put yourself out there. Your organization is giving people many different reasons outside of the award itself to do that. Do it for you. Because when you do it for you, cliches aside, you're doing it for your family, you're doing it for your community, you're doing it for society, you're doing it for the sisterhood, right?
There. Like, this is the thing, Raj. Like, everything is out there for people. Like, there are opportunities for you to meet mentors. There's opportunities for you to collaborate with people. Like the few examples that I just gave you, those are just a handful of examples. You know how many others have done it, from the event? There's so much opportunities. So take advantage of the tools, the opportunities, the collaborations, the networking. Take advantage of that, because that will change the way that the way that you move on with your career path, or the way that you move on with your business. It might provide you a new order or a new opportunity to sponsor an event, or to be able to get a contract that you never thought that you'd be able to get, or to find the person missing that you needed as a photographer for your event. Like, there's so many opportunities that are out there, and I think we need to really recognize, because people say, well, I don't know how to be able to get that. And it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no. So
Mm-hmm.
ask the question and allow yourself the opportunity to have this access that's being given to you, these opportunities that are literally there for you. But the reason why you don't take advantage of them is because you don't take that step to be able to access the things that are being provided to you. And I think that's so incredibly important to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And you just said something that I think is really important. And that is this whole idea of no, right? Like that two-letter word seems to be this huge issue for women, especially. Like, get used to it, get comfortable with it, because once you do, it's not going to matter anymore, and you'll be able to overcome the no. And what's on the other side of no? It's always yes.
And I'll tell you, even like last year, I'll give you an example from last year. So last year there was so many people I reached out to for opportunities for our awards. And I remember reaching out to like two or three different individuals in particular. And I said to them, would there be an opportunity for you to be involved in the awards? And they said, no, we can't, because the economy is not doing well, but I have someone who I think would be interested. And so they made the connection to that person. And you know what? That person came on board. That person came on board in August. So that's what I'm saying, is that if you don't ask, the answer will be no. But I did ask, and she wasn't able to do it. But you know what? She had someone who was able to do it. And I think and that happened to me three times last year. And
Wow.
back and I actually said to them, I said, you are exactly the example of women empowering women, because I reached out to you hoping that you might be able to help me with an introduction, or being able to help me with something. And you weren't able to do it, but you were able to connect me to someone who could. And imagine if just one woman did that to another woman, and the ripple effect that it would have, I think, would be massive, because that's all it takes. It takes that one woman that is willing to, even if she can't do it, if she knows somebody who can, and can make that connection, that simple introduction, that mutual introduction, I think can change it. Or she might not know the answer, but she will resource it for you and find it for you and help you get that next step forward. And I think that usually, like, to me, is so profound, because it costs absolutely nothing, but can change everything in a woman's career. Really,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Claudia, after 5 years of empowering women, what is the one message you want every woman to remember about being a woman who belongs to herself?
I would say the most impactful thing that I would share to women is that your stories matter, that your voice matters, that your dreams matter, and that never underestimate the impact that you are making in this world. And I want you to choose to believe in yourself. I think once you believe in yourself, you are able to take the next step forward. And once you take that step forward, you know, the empowerment piece is reaching back and bringing the next woman forward with you.
Absolutely. And I have to ask you this question. Forward casting as we do as visionaries, right? As creatives. Um, 10-year milestone for you. What would you want it to look like? Because when we get there, I
You're
want
gonna
us to play this back.
Yes. I want it to be global. It's going to go global. This is something for the last couple of years, we've had so many amazing women from like Amsterdam, from England, from India, from Africa, from the US, like so many women come forward. And when you read their stories and their journey, they're incredible to see what they're doing in their countries for women in their spaces. And I would love to be able to recognize that on a global level. So ideally, I would love to be able to take this on an international level. So 10 years from now, I want to be able to do that. Now, from a foundation point, I would love to be able to provide scholarships to, already we've given out $30,000 of scholarships. We've given out $137,000 of grants to small businesses. And how beautiful would it be to be able to provide, instead of 4 scholarships a year, to be able to do 10 or 20 a year and be able to make an impact for these young girls in STEM that don't see beyond high school because they don't have the financial means to be able to pursue post-secondary. And I think the more that we put women in those types of roles in the STEM, in entrepreneurship, then we have, young leaders that are independent, that are able to contribute to society in such an impactful way, and also to be role models for then the next generation of young girls that are going to come forward. And so that's how the cycle continues to move forward in a progressive way. And so that's where I see ourselves in 10 years, is being able to make an impact on a global level.
And I cannot wait to be a witness to that. Let's watch this episode together when we hit the 10-year mark.
Absolutely, I would love that.
You know, um, I think what I'm taking away from this conversation is that empowerment isn't about waiting to be chosen. It's about choosing yourself and creating spaces where others can rise because they are also getting the opportunities to choose themselves and then they pass the baton.
Your journey matters and your voice in society matters. To use that voice to share your story and to be able to live out those dreams. And I think that's the thing. And the minute that we stop underestimating ourselves and our power and what we are able to do and how we are able to contribute to help others, I think that also makes that profound impact that changes the way that our life course goes.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for your service, my dear Claudia. I mean, the Canadian landscape has been changed dramatically for our women since WEA came into being. And that is a testament to your hard work and your strength and your confidence to be able to ask other women to step up and to be a part of this and to help you accomplish this platform that is so needed for women to remind themselves that they matter, to remind themselves that they all have something impactful and empowering to not only share with others, but to also help others find in themselves. Like, thank you for being you, my darling, and thank you for your time on coming on my show and sharing just your words of wisdom as well as the success story that has been the last 5 years. Thank you for that.
Raj, honestly, this isn't something that I do alone. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for women like you. And I think that's the one thing that people don't realize. Like they come to the event and they see this beautiful event and this amazing celebration of women. But what they don't realize is that this isn't something that I am able to do alone. Without phenomenal women that are supporting, that are backing me up, that are cheering me on, that are helping in so many different ways, whether they are a sponsor, whether they are a media partner, whether they are a vendor, whether they are providing their volunteer services, whether they're providing their mentorship, whether they are donating funds to give to a woman for one of the awards or providing funds for a scholarship, even just buying a ticket, like something as simple as buying a ticket every single ticket that comes in goes into our charity, and that charity is what gives back to these young girls, to these women entrepreneurs with the grants that we provide. So I am unable to do this on my own. And so it really takes a village and a community to come together to make it happen. So I am grateful to women like you and all of our sponsors and partners and every single person that has bought a ticket in the past and has supported us in some way, because we are where we are today because of all of you, not because of me, but because everyone has stepped up to come together for this mission of what we are, believing in, which is we rise by lifting others, and really leading by example and proving that statement is so true. And that is why we are successful in celebrating 5 years and looking forward to celebrating our 10-year and 20-year mark and 25 and so on.
I love it. So, Claudia, for and those people who want to pick up any, tickets that may be remaining still when this goes live, I got a feeling you can be sold out, but just in case, where do they go? And also, is that the same place they go to reach out to you to be able to potentially, sponsor or support in any way? Let's close off with that information.
So you can get in touch with us on our website. It's woea.ca. And you can volunteer, you can be mentor, you can just go through our contact page. You can purchase our tickets on Eventbrite. So you are able to go there and just look up Women Empowerment Awards and be able to purchase the tickets. We will sell out early, because if we were at the Park Hyatt, we would have been sold out already. So the fact that we moved on to a bigger venue just tells you right now the demand. So I would say get your tickets early, because they will go very, very quickly. And you can also reach out to us on Instagram, and being able to just message us on Instagram, and a person from our team will get back to you and be able to put you in touch with the right person. But we're always looking for, gift bag sponsors, anything like that. So if you have anything that you would like to contribute in any way, reach out to our team, and we would love to have you be involved in some way.
Cannot wait to see you. What's the date, sister? Let's share that with everyone.
September 25th, Fairmont, Royal York. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be really special. We've got some extra surprises for our 5th year. So it's going to be something really beautiful and very, very transformational.
And that's Toronto, guys. Thank you so much, Claudia. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, and thank you again for all of your tremendous support. You have been with us since the very beginning. And so I'm honored to be able to celebrate our 5-year anniversary with you. So thank you, Raj.
Absolutely, sweetheart. I'll be there for the 10, the 25, and the rest. You know that.
Absolutely. Women empowerment, that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Guys, if this conversation resonated with you, please give it a 5-star rating, because it's that's going to help us to be able to get out amongst so many more women out there on YouTube. Please do that, because the support is really, really appreciated, and it is something that we need. I also want you to please subscribe when you get there. Hit the notification button, leave your comments, because this is something that I haven't really been asking you guys to do, but it's really been coming to me. Please, leave your comments, because I'm going to make a really strong effort to read every single comment personally, because what I want is I want to make sure that this show is resonating with you, and the things that you want, for me to be able to share more of and bring on certain types of guests. I'm only going to know it if you, share in the comments. So please, please do that. And share it with someone out there, especially a woman in your life who you feel really, really is going to benefit from being a part of our ecosystem at YouTube. I want you to also go and hang out with Claudia at the WEA on Instagram. Go join their mailing, community as well. That's off the website as well, Claudia, right?
You go onto our website, subscribe to our newsletter, and that way you get updated on all of our events, because we don't just do the awards. That's the main one, but there's always ongoing events throughout the year that brings that community back together again. So there's updates on that on the website as well.
Absolutely. And you know what the great thing is, guys? I mean, I've been on that newsletter community since the onset 5 years ago. And it really is a community where people, ask for help. They offer up their services. They, provide resources. It really is a very interactive space to be. I look forward to receiving the newsletters and the messages that come through Claudia's organization. And I know that you're going to be able to glean a lot of value, like a great starting place for you guys. And also make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter at the openchestconfidenceacademy.com. And I'll see you on the next episode. I cannot wait to share so much more insightful conversations like this one and introduce you to great guests who are on just powerful missions like Claudia. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and I'll see you on the next one.